Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Well, we're back on Project Ruby today, and today we're going to be knocking some dents out of our backside. We got a dent over there on the other quarter. We got some in the back here, I think happened at the strippers. I've gotten some questions from some of you guys on dent removal, and so I'm going to try to show you guys a little bit of how I'm doing it, and maybe that'll help you with some of the smaller dents that you have to work out. A lot of times these vehicles don't have huge dents, they got a lot of little dents, and they can be daunting to try to tackle, so you just got to jump in there and do it one at a time. So let's jump in here ourselves and get to work on these. Okay, before we tackle those dents, last week we got this all welded in and I got it ground off camera. Came out really nice, I'm really happy with it. That side's not as good as the other side. This one came out really sweet. You can tell right there. Came out really nice. But right now we need to tackle some of these dents. And we've got one right here, and this was in, I don't remember how it happened, to tell you the truth, but it happened after I painted the car. So it needs to be fixed. And it's kind of a complicated one. We got a body line here that disappears inside of the dent, and it's got a pretty good little kink on it right here. So we're gonna have to push pretty hard to get that one out. Then we're gonna tackle one or both of these right here. It kind of, I think, a forklift. They look like forklift forks. They were lifting the car or pushing the car or something, put a little dent right there. And if we have time, we'll tackle one of these over here on the quarter. These can be very difficult, so it may take a whole nother video to take care of these. So let me get some tools out, and I think we'll start with these right back here. They're not very big. They're about that big in diameter and not very pronounced. So let's go ahead and tackle those first. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that dent very well. It's a good size one. The other one is a lot smaller. But the first thing we need to do is check our access. Do we have access to the back side? And that really determines how you're going to try to get this dent out. Now we do on this one, so that's really good. We got really good access. So to get this dent out, I want to try to go ahead and right off the bat is try to put a block on the other side and a clamp and just try to push that dent back where it belongs. We always want to take the dent out in the reverse that it went in. Now this one obviously it was pushed straight out that way from the trunk. So it's fairly simple. We're going to push straight in. But let's say it was a glancing blow like this and got deeper and deeper, and you would want to take this out in reverse order. So you want to start here and push your way back. Remember, as that dent goes in, it's gathering sheet metal and pushing it that way. And then you end up with more, and I know it doesn't seem like it, but it does. And so if you started at this end, you would actually be moving sheet metal back to where there is actually more. So you want to start here and work your way back. This case, really straightforward. It just came straight out. So we're going to tackle it in that direction. Now, the number one tip I can give you guys is don't cause yourself more work. Don't do more damage than the dent already caused. And if you're swinging a hammer, if you're like Dolly on and then you're stretching the metal, you can do a lot more damage and cause yourself a big headache later on. So take it easy, think about it, and just try to get the dent out nice and smooth and easy by pressing, clamping, whatever you got to do, pushing, and then you can start swinging the hammer. So that's what we're going to do. Let's get a clamp and see what we can do with this thing. Okay, I got a piece of 1/4 inch laying across there so I could slide it behind that bracket. Got a squeeze clamp holding it in place. So should be able to take the force really nicely. And got a F clamp right here. Should be strong enough to do the job. That's about the only clamp I've got that'll reach down deep enough. So let me set the camera down and we'll see if we can push this dent out nice and easy. All right, I don't know if you guys can see or not, but this rolls down onto and flattens out right here. This dent actually pushes up because I can see the shadow line rise up where the dent is and back down. So I want to make sure we get that nice and sweet. Now, this F-clamp's about the only one with a long enough throat that I have because I don't want the pad pushing up into this curved area right here. We're just going to put a kink in it. So let's go ahead and slide this on here and see if it's got enough beans to push this thing out. So the pad does clear the round area, so I'm just going to pick towards the top here. Let me raise it up just a little bit, and we'll just start tightening it down. And it's already taken it out, so we're just at the bottom of that where that radius ends, so we're okay. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten it pretty good. And I'm going to move it over and tighten it again. All right, let's check it out. That's pretty flat, guys. And it's just that simple because, you know, a lot of times you think, well, I got to get something, I got to hammer on this. We're going to hammer on it, but we're not going to hammer it on it right now. We're going to go ahead and continue to do this. I can feel a little pucker right here. I want to make sure that I can slide that little plate down far enough, and then we'll see if we can reach that. If not, we'll use a hammer and dolly. But now we've flattened that out, and I can see the shadow line of where that curve terminates. And now it just has a little tiny bump right there. So we've saved ourselves a lot of work just by squeezing that back where it belongs. Not perfect by any means, still a little high right here. So I'm going to go ahead and push on it right here. Okay, so I got it squished down pretty good. It's considerably flatter than it was. Now we just have some little small ripples to take out. So I hope you guys can see how we got the majority of it down. Now we're going to fine tune this. And to do that, I'm not going to just trust my fingers. All right, they can deceive you. So I've just got a block here, and all it needs, doesn't matter really how grit, you know, you don't want too heavy a grit of sandpaper, but you just want to have something you can sand over the top of this that's flat. And it's going to show up the little high spots, and you can see it right there, right there, right there, right there, and right there. And you can tell whatever that was, it kind of hit and then bounced up and then hit this curve, and that's what made that big dent, right? So it started down here and pushed its way up. So these aren't that bad. They're really no big deal. We're going to go ahead and get a block back there, and I can still see my body line. It's still got a little bit of hoop-de-doo, but I think once we get this one down, that line is going to sweeten out real nice. So let me grab some tools, and we'll see if we can't tap these down. Okay, I switched sides with you because I can't swing the hammer with my left hand so good. So here are our dents, and what we're going to do is we're going to do dolly on, but our dolly is going to be a block of wood, okay? So that way you have less chance of stretching the metal and doing more damage. And since the wood is soft and we're trying to overstress that metal to make it go farther and then stay where we want, the block of wood works out really nice. Now this is just, I think pine, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's a softer wood. And since this area right here is curved, we don't want a big flat block because when we're hammering, we'll end up making this area flat. We don't want that. We want it curved the whole time, okay? So what I'll do is I'll put the block on its edge like that so we have a very small profile to hammer against. So that's all I'm really going to do. I've got a small one back here. And I'm going to hold it right underneath this one dent right here. And I'm going to tap on it. Now, if it doesn't want to move, we're going to have to go to a metal block. But first I want to try to see if I can get these really shallow ones out. And I'm pushing really hard on the other side. And you can tell I'm not hammering, I'm tapping, okay? And now this one's starting to come out. That one's still going to give me trouble, so we're going to have to switch over to a metal dolly. But this area is not bad at all. So let's grab a dolly. And once again, I'm going to go to a narrow dolly and have it on its edge because I don't have a dolly that's that perfect shape. See if I can get it right next to it. Now I'm going to do dolly on right here because this is like a big dimple, okay? And I'm going to try to drive that dimple down. And it's a very small one, and I'm going to tap lightly. And I don't want to hear it ring out too much. There we go. And you notice how my blows with the hammer are a glancing blow, and I'm just really hitting and sliding at the same time. So it's starting to come out nicely. I'm going to go ahead and move up a little bit. So you can see the area starting to shine up and getting larger. I hope you can see that. So what's happening is I'm almost planishing that back down to smooth. And I'm doing it with a bunch of little taps, not several just big hard whacks with a hammer. So let me change your angle a little bit so you can see better, and we'll get the rest of these out. Okay, that's coming out, starting to smooth out. It's no longer just a little crease right there, but I can feel a little bump. So what I'll do is I'm switching over to the rounder faced hammer. And if you don't have a hammer that has a slight round face to it, this one didn't. This was flat, but I have plenty of flat hammers. So I actually went over and I sanded that until a nice shallow radius. So I'm going to take the block of wood again. We'll put it back behind there. I'll find the exact spot. I'll push up real hard. Okay, let me run the sandpaper over it again, and we'll see where we're at. Okay, so you can see this area is still shiny and it drops off right here, and I can feel that. So we have a little bit more work to do there. A little high spot right there. And then these need to come down. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the hammer over and use my other hammer and tap directly on these high spots right here. Now I do have a pointed hammer, and I've rounded this off really well. You want to avoid using the pick side of the hammer at all costs, and if it's pointy, you need to grind it nice and smooth. It's more of not a ball, but it's certainly not pointy anymore. There's a place for it, and I will use it, but I use it sparingly. You can move a lot of material that way really quickly, and you can also stretch metal out real quick, so you got to be careful. So these lines are like this, so I'm going to try to tap just like this. Go to a metal dolly to get in there. Okay, so our curve right here is coming out really nice. We still have a few high spots and low spots, so I'm going to keep tapping on them just like I've been doing, and then I'll bring you back. Now, I'll probably go ahead and get the bullseye pick out, and we'll work those. You probably don't have a bullseye pick, but if you do, it comes out really handy to have those. Okay, I've done some more tapping on it, but we still have high spots right here. And this is where you're going to come into using dolly off, okay? So it's low right here, and it's low right there. So I want to actually hold my dolly right here, and then I want to tap right here, okay? So you're going to push out. You're not just holding the dolly there, you're actually pushing hard, and that way you tap on that will raise that up and push that down at the same time. This portion right here will come out. As you push and hammer on that metal will take the shape and push out and go in at the same time. And that's the whole idea. Now this whole area is a little high. I put a straight edge on here, and so it's a little high, but it's smooth, okay? So we need to drive that back down, and we'll use dolly off to get that back down as well. But I want to get these little creases out right now. Now I could just, hammer this flatter with a straight, checking it with a straight edge, and then fill it. It looks that good already. But we're going to go ahead and work these little ridges right here a little bit more, and then see if we can't get those to smooth out like the rest of it. And then we'll get the overall area back down where it belongs, and then we should be okay. So let me get a dolly back in there, and we're going to tap on that. I may have to move the camera back so I don't hit it with a hammer. Locating your dolly is the hard part, figuring out exactly where it goes. So you got to, if you use a Sharpie or something, mark the low spot, and then you can look where you're holding your dolly. It really does help. Now I'm going to slide it up because that came out. that feels better. Actually, we have a little bit of a low spot there, so it's not the end of the world, but we're gonna have to fix that up. So let me back the camera away and I'll show you how we're gonna check this with a straight edge, and then we're gonna go ahead and get this whole area back down where it belongs. Okay, so we'll take the straight edge and we'll hold it down here, and I can see that this area is supposed to be flat. You know, if I go too far over, it starts to round over. But this little area right here is supposed to have pretty flat. Now it curves this way, but it's flat on this plane. So we're just gonna run that up, and I'm just gonna look in between for light, and I'm gonna feel if it's rocking, and where does it start rocking. So it starts rocking right about there. And then it gets more pronounced right there, and it's more pronounced right there, and then it starts to go away, and right at the base of that curve right there, it goes all the way. So that's good, so we don't have to deal with that curve too much. So basically, this little area, you can see the shiny spot, it's duller here and here, so this little shape right here is too high. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna hold the dolly in this area right here, because this is low, I can tell. So I need to push up right here. I can actually do that with my fingers. I can push up with the dolly, and then I'm gonna tap on this area right here to try to get it to go down. I'll go ahead and use this dolly right here. It's got a slight curve to it, and it's got enough mass for me to just hold back. So I'm gonna just kind of push right there. And I think I'll use the round-faced hammer so I can just tap lightly. And I'm gonna brace myself and just push out. Try to work those areas. I'll move the dolly over so I'm not dolly on. And as I move and hammer this way, I'll slide the dolly a little bit with me, but just staying away. I'll check it with a straight edge again. Starts rocking a little bit higher. So we're doing better. It's more in this area right here now. And I just keep tapping and keep checking, keep tapping and keep checking. So I know I need to work this spot right here. Put the dolly right about here. Now it's rocking in this area right here. And I'm just going to keep doing this until it's flat enough. So let me keep that up, and I'll bring you back when it looks pretty good. Okay, running the straight edge on it, it feels pretty good. It doesn't want to rock. I can feel it wants to pivot, but not rock. So I threw a little black Sharpie on there. I'll get the ink out later, but it's going to show us instantly what's going on. So we're still high here and possibly low here and here. So I want to push up with the dolly and hammer down right here. That's going to come up, this will go down, and then we'll sand it again until these all start matching. Okay, so we can see this is where I was pushing, but I was hammering here. See how that's high now? I pushed too hard, and that's on me. I was really bearing down, and I should have just been holding light pressure for such a small dent. But now this one's, I don't hardly feel this. It actually feels a little low, but now we're a little high here. So let that be a lesson to you. Don't get heavy-handed. So we're gonna go ahead and try to smooth that back out. So, and this is a good example of what, dolly off will do for you. Now, I was pushing over here, and you guys just saw, I was hammering right there, and that became high. So it just goes to show you what dolly off will do for you. So if you got a high spot and you're holding up on the perimeter and you're tapping on that, that material will come up while you're hammering that down. So you have to be cautious. I went too far there. I got too heavy-handed. Not with the hammer. I went too heavy-handed with the dolly. So learn from my mistakes here on this one. let me work this a little bit more and we'll see if we can't get this whole area nice and flat. Okay guys, I used some ink on it and I got it pretty flat, but it's not perfectly smooth, so we still have a little bit of work to do. Now I did use a bullseye pick and ink, like I said, sanded it so it showed the high and low spots. But if you don't want to do that, or you can't do that, if you take a straight edge like this, this is straight on this plane right here. It curves, but as long as we hold the straight edge flat and hold on the same plane, and all we're going to do is slide it up and down. And what that's going to show me, I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me grab the camera and I'll show you. See that line right there? How it curls around? Now, if I hold my hand right here, it works out perfect. So that's my high spot right there. See how narrow that is? So what I'm going to do is I'll take the bullseye pick and I'll just follow that line and get the whole thing. And then I'll check it again and I'll check it again. So we are almost done with this one. It's just not as smooth as I like. It is very close. I'm not going to shoot for perfection. The epoxy that I spray on it will probably take care of it. So let me do a little bit more work and then I'll bring you back and then we'll take a look at it. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but now you see how that whole thing went away where it went down and around. We've got a little one here and a little one here, and they're getting, when they're really tight and fine, you know that's a ridge. When they get really fat like that, you know you basically got it. And I can't even feel that when I run my finger over the top of it. I'm going to work this and a few others. I'll bring you back when I'm done, but basically this one's ready to go. And it's really how far you want to go before you put some filler on it, whether it's an epoxy or urethane or a lightweight body filler. So don't think you have to try to get perfect like you may see somebody do on YouTube or on TV or something. Chances are it is filled one way or the other. It may not be body filler, but it's probably some sort of epoxy coating or urethane. As they block out, it's actually filling their repairs. So don't try to think you have to get things perfect. You don't want super thick body filler, but once you get it pretty close, you can stop right there and then move on to the next step. So let me finish this off and I'll bring you right back. We'll take a look at it. Okay guys, all done. What do you think? Looks okay? He turned and looked away. I don't think he likes it. It looks pretty good. It's got a texture to it, but it is flat and round and smooth just like it's supposed to. So it'll take filler. Like I said earlier, probably the epoxy will take care of it. Probably get it epoxied, a couple of good coats, block it out, and then maybe have to add some more. But it came out pretty nice. And it just depends on how far you want to go. Now, you'll end up with a bunch of tools laying out. You see everything I got laying out? That was just for that dent. So you just keep grabbing stuff. Whatever will work is what you use. Blocks of wood, rubber mallet, I don't care what you use. You get the dent out and that's all that matters. So you don't need super high dollar tools. But it came out pretty nice. Let's move over to the one on the corner, the quarter panel. It's going to be a little more challenging, trying to figure out how to push it out in the first place. Okay, so here's the dent. And I have no idea how this got in here. What I think is something heavy fell just like this. And because this part has got a nice little kink in it, and this is all very shallow, so I think it drove it in, and this is probably, let's call this the epicenter right here, okay? So what I want to do is kind of drive that out this way. And there's really, I can't really get in there with a hammer and I can't clamp it and push it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a piece of wood long enough so I can reach from the trunk side and set it right on here and then just hammer on the piece of wood and try to push that out. Now we don't want it too big but we don't want it too small, so we push out like a volcano right here. We kind of want to take that whole area, and that's about big as a dime. So I'm going to put make something that's about big as a quarter, I think, and then we'll try to find that point right there, and we'll just drive it out. So let me go dig around in some of the stuff I got and see if I can find something so we can try to hammer that out. Okay, here's what I came up with. Just a piece of 1x2, cut it, rounded these edges so I didn't have any sharp corners, and left a little, I don't know, penny-sized thing on there. I'm going to try to fit it up from the trunk side. Let's start hammering and see what happens. Now we saw what came up here. Now I want to recenter it right on that. It's kind of hard to reach. And I'll keep moving the block of wood to the new low spot, which would be the high spot in the quarter panel here. Okay, we got a spot right here. But you saw when I did the first driving of here how this started coming out. Now we have a super shallow low spot right here, so it's starting to come together. Let me keep working at it. I'm going to try to get that spot right there. Okay, I got it. It's still a little low here and there, but I got some high spots in here. So this line feels good. This body line I didn't destroy. We're going to have to make sure it looks good when we're done. But we're getting there. So let me run some sandpaper over it. We'll see where we're at, and then we'll have a better idea what we need to do. Okay, now we can see really clearly right here in the light. So we can see the low spots, high spots. We can see everything. It's going to take some of these aren't necessarily high, they're just low in between. It's hard to tell running my hand over it because it feels like the moon surface right now. But we got the bulk of the dent pushed out. Unfortunately, the angle, it caused these little high spots. So I need to get these little low spots out. And I think I need to crawl up underneath inside there with a light in the trunk and see if I can just pry on each one of these. So what I'll do is, I won't be able to show you, but I'll take sandpaper to the inside, okay? And then it's going to show all these that are low out here will be high in there. And so what I'll do is I'll take a small rod or something, a piece of wood, and I'll just tap all those back out. So let me take care of that, and I'll bring you right back. Okay, so it's pushed out, but it's not pushed out as smooth as I would like. There is a bracket just on the other side that holds the taillights, and it's hiding all of this. I can reach about over here, but really I can't reach in there very well. I have to go at a stream angle, and it put these high spots in. So I was able to kick it out a little bit farther. This is very close right here, this area, so I'm not too concerned about that. But I do have some serious high spots here, and we need to tap those down while I push up. So we're going to do a dolly off. I'll put a dolly over here and push up as hard as I can while I tap on this one. And then we'll do that one. We'll just keep doing them all. So I think this dolly has about the right shape for that curve. I'll try to hold it up like that if I can fit it in there. And then we'll just tap on it with the hammer. And we'll see what happens. Well, it doesn't really want to fit too good. So we'll work this area, and we'll have to figure out something else for there. Okay, let's get a little sand on it. I was able to get a board in there and pry against the taillight bracket, and it actually pushed it out. I wish I would have done that from the very beginning. This may be a lot smoother already. Let me get this tapped out, and we'll see if we can tap that one out real quick. And then I'll bring it right back. We'll see how it looks. Okay, I was able to get this one out. We just got a little tiny baby little crease there right now. It still needs a little bit of work. I think I can get a spoon or something in there and then push out and then tap on it. This one I'm really having a lot of trouble with. So I'm going to go ahead and try just pushing. I can feel it sticking. I can feel this high spot on the inside. Well, it's low spot out here, but I can feel that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push with my thumb as hard as I can, and we'll see if we can't push out and tap around that to bring that up. if that did any good. Okay, we're getting this pretty nice right through here. It needs a little bit more work. I tried to drive that out, and I did, but I put a little bit of a high spot there. So I'm going to hammer that down. This is about as good as it's going to get. The next step is this little mess up here. Now I can't really get a dolly in there, and the body line's supposed to just disappear right in this area. And I've got a little bit of a crease here, like the body line is continuing. So not getting a dolly in here is the end of the world because this is so rigid right here. What we're going to do is just pick at it really lightly. And then we're going to find these high spots. And we're just using just the end right there, not a point, not the corner, but just a little. And I am not hitting this hard, guys, very lightly. So I'm going to climb in there and go ahead and get this. I'm going to tap on these a little bit more, and then we're going to come back and take a look at it. Okay, guys, it's looking pretty good. I just ran a DA over it, trying to smooth it out so I wasn't feeling a bunch of different textures. I got a little spot right here I'm not happy about, but it could be that low spot I was having trouble getting out. I was able to pick these up a little bit from the inside and then kind of smooth it back out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some 320 and sand this, and then probably some 600 and make it really shiny, and then we'll look at it at an angle and we'll see how well we did. Okay guys, you know I don't want to hide anything from you, so this is sanded with 320 and then 600, and I just wiped it down with wax and grease remover. Let's just take a close-up look at it. Try to get you some angles so you can see. Not perfect. Let me swing around here and show the camera to the outside there. Might be able to see if there's any waves in it or anything. So the top looks good right along there. Body line looks good. It looks pretty good, guys. Pretty happy with that, and like I said, I don't want to hide anything from you guys. I wanted you to know, this isn't impossible, and you don't have to go as far as I do. I didn't when I was starting out, man. Like my buddy Dave says, do your best and bondo the rest, and that's what I did. So now my skills have progressed where I can push it a little bit farther and not cause myself more trouble down the road, but that's looking really good. Like I said, I think the epoxy will probably take out any ripples or anything else. I may revisit it tomorrow. You get a little burned out, and then you come back, oh, I can do a little better, and then you tinker with it a little bit. But I think that looks great. It's ready to go. Okay guys, that pretty much wraps up this video on knocking out some dents. We did some dolly on and dolly off, and hopefully this is going to help you guys a little bit. So when you're starting to tackle some of those dents, and really start on the small ones and work your way up to the bigger ones, it's going to help you immensely. If you start tackling, well, I'll just jump in and get that big one, it's going to get you're really going to get frustrated. So you're going to want to start at small ones. Your learning curve is just going to skyrocket, and then you're going to be able to translate that over to harder dents and get those fixed up really nice too. But as you saw, even I struggle with them. If you can't get to the back, we had one here where it was easy access, and then we had one here that was not so easy access. So you kind of have to get creative on how to get that thing pushed out just to get started. Thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mash that bell and drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next one.